Oh, yeah. So I will make all that.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Crook County work session. Today's date, Wednesday, January the 29th, 2025. It's 9 o'clock. So we'll call this meeting to order. First is public comment. I'm here. Any public comment online? Seeing none, we'll move on to discussion items. First one is request for financial support for the Belknap Exhibit Center. Sean and Phil. Okay. Phil is, I just do a little shout out for Phil. Phil is taking on that project of the Belknap Exhibit Center. And it's done a very good job. It's a very nice facility, and I know it was a lot of work and a lot of participation from the folks and helping donating the funds, and thank you for seeing that through.
Well, it was a lot more fun than work for me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I miss it, to be honest. But I would like to go on then, if I'm on.
Yes.
Yep. And I've got a little prepared statement, so excuse me, I don't have it memorized, like I'm trying to memorize my poem for the Cowboy Poetry event, at the museum. I'm having a hard time, so it's just easier for me to read.
Exactly.
The Belknap Exhibit Center opened March 16th, 2024. The Historical Society, as owners of the building, are very satisfied with the final result. There's no mortgage, no outstanding debt. Project is completely free and clear. To the county commissioners, please recall that without your agreement to deed the Hans property to the Crook County Historical Society, and then to support us by allowing us to go it alone, this building might not have been built. Once again, thank you for your faith in the Crook County Historical Society. The exhibit center provides 2,000 square feet of flexible space for staging rotating exhibits. We've known all along that building the new exhibit center would be the easier part of owning and then operating an exhibit center. The most difficult part going forward is the planning and execution of exhibits that the community will find interesting, exciting, informative, and maybe sometimes challenging. Our executive director, Sean Briscoe, and our collection and exhibit manager, Deanna Smith, have demonstrated their ability to provide quality and entertaining exhibits. As they get to know the building and our community even better, exhibits will continue to attract more and more visitors from around our community and the entire region. I want to tell you about a consensus decision that we recently arrived at, the board, that is, of the Historical Society. I want to reaffirm to you that it is our intent and desire to remain as owners of the Belknap Exhibit Center in perpetuity. We believe that the county government and that the community will benefit from private ownership of the exhibit center. The ongoing operational costs for the society will be significantly less than if the county assumed ownership. We welcome any thoughts you may have with this long-term commitment that I just made. The Crook County Historical Society has granted the exclusive use of this facility to the county to be operated by the Bowman Museum. We think that the Belknap Exhibit Center dovetails perfectly with the Bowman Museum, and we hope you feel that way as well. We are not asking for a monthly rental fee. We've been down that road, and we understand why that is not the best approach when we ask for some supporting funds. Our primary responsibility to the roughly 600 members of the Historical Society is to operate our small nonprofit business profitably. Our primary fiscal goal is to have enough money to safely operate our nonprofit business for the long term. While our overhead is quite low, it has increased with the ownership of the exhibit center. We will continue as a society to raise funds through all of the traditional channels so we can continue to sponsor, build, and help upgrade future projects that the museum and the historical society identify. I want to emphasize that we are not in the business of accumulating money for the sake of accumulation. As a 501c3 organization with a very specific philanthropic purpose, we want to spend our funds on projects and initiatives that relate to our primary purpose, and that purpose is the Bowman Museum, pure and simple. To this end, we are returning to you after our initial visit of September 13th, 2023, to be specific in our request for cost sharing for some of the operations of the Belknap Exhibit Center. From our funds on hand at the Historical Society, we have already established a $25,000 building reserve fund for future planned and unforeseen repairs. We budget an annual amount of $2,500 to be added to that fund every year. We provide property insurance coverage for the Belknap Exhibit Center. We provide bookkeeping service for our financial needs at the Historical Center, as well as the financial reports for the Bowman Museum. Our bookkeeper's time is roughly an even split between the two budgets. The result of this subsidy is a savings to the Bowman Museum budget of nearly $5,000 per year. During the construction of the exhibit center, it was obvious to us that the sidewalk replacement on 3rd Street along the frontage of the property should extend all the way to the corner of 3rd and Main on Bowman Museum property. The sidewalk on 3rd in front of the museum never gets sun and was basically deteriorated. The county had limited funds to repair their portion of this sidewalk, so the Historical Society subsidized that work with $8,000 to complete that project. The new sidewalk along 3rd and Main, or along 3rd between Main and Belknap is a major improvement. As a bonus, we also eliminated 2 points of egress along 3rd in front of the old Harns Pharmacy building. Parking is much improved. ODOT and the city are very pleased. We committed to the city of Prineville that the grounds of the exhibit center will be maintained to a very high standard. We decided to include Caboose Park in our garden maintenance budget so that the entire outside area from the back door of the museum all the way to Belknap Street would be maintained to this high standard. We are, after all, in the heart of the city. Previously, the county provided the outside maintenance costs for Caboose Park. We have new plants coming for Caboose Park, and Wendell Landscaping will be doing all of the planting and ongoing maintenance. For your information, our cost for outside landscape maintenance is $368 per month year-round. We received a 5-year grant from the city of Prineville to help cover this cost, which includes Caboose Park. We are grateful for their support. And while I'm rambling, I just want to mention that we recently invited OSHA to provide a voluntary and confidential inspection of the new building. We know that the building is a very simple structure, but we wanted outside assurance that it meets current safety standards. We passed with flying colors. So why are we here today? We are asking you to cover the following monthly costs of operation at the Belknap Center. First, building interior cleaning twice per month, $250. Next, electricity for lighting, heating, and cooling. We spec'd in and use highly efficient mini split heat pumps. There's no gas or electric furnace, and we decided against solar after a thorough and in-depth proposal. Electricity costs will be $175 per month. Wi-Fi, $100. Water and sewer, $85. Snow removal, Sean's working on that. We're not sure how we're talking about along the sidewalk now in front of our property. We're gonna just let that rest. I'm not sure if the county's gonna sweep that away if it ever snows again or not. Telephone and elevator emergency communication service. All items that are a function of visitors using the building and keeping it clean and warm and safe. So that total, that's $150. That total monthly expenditure is $760. And lastly, I just want to remember or remind you that our security agreement, the one that exists, that was updated between John and our attorney, between the county and the Historical Society. It was revamped 3 years ago in anticipation of the construction and the operation of the exhibit center. And although the conditions for the actual construction changed completely, the spirit of the agreement states that the county will assume some of the operating expenses of the new building upon completion. And we are today operating under the assumption that this is still the case. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
No, very good presentation. Phil.
Yeah. Great. And I want to shout out for Sean too. He's came from the library, did a great job there, and now he's directed the museum and he's changed it around and did a very good job. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I will endorse that on behalf of the board too. It's, and I know he gives a lot of credit as a strong team member in Indiana, but between the two of them, we've got a very exciting future. It's really interesting to listen to their plans and they're embracing the history of Crook County. They truly are.
Yeah.
There's no question
Your
about it.
enthusiasm is catching.
Yeah.
So that's what I was hoping
Contagious.
for.
That's what I'm gonna say, contagious.
That's what I was hoping for.
Yes.
Well, if we're done, we'll exit stage right.
Well, I wanted to just let you know that I will work with Will and John and we will review your request.
Okay.
And we won't make any decisions today. And Christina, the finance department, and we'll get back to you with
Perfect.
what we can do.
That's all we can ask. Thank you so much.
You bet. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Bill.
You bet.
So next one. Signature amendment to Crook County Drug Court Grant. Aaron?
Yes. Good morning. Reason I'm here is I'm just requesting a signature on a grant addendum. Basically, the county is already in a 2-year, grant cycle with, Crook County Drug Court was for the 23-25 biennium. The Criminal Justice Commission, they had some additional funding come available. We have applied for that, and that's what this addendum is for some additional funding into the drug court program. So that's what I'm asking for, the signature on that addendum, so we can get that funding.
Very good. Any questions?
No, is this anything that's timely or we can put this on a consent agenda? How does that work?
It would be fine if it just goes on the consent agenda.
Okay. For next week.
Signature next week.
Okay, thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
Consent agenda for next week.
Thank you.
Aaron. Next, number 3, OHA for intergovernmental agreement amendment number 16. Katie,
She is online.
good morning.
Good morning. I'm getting a message that I can't be on camera, but
Oh, sorry. I can give you that.
that's all right. If y'all don't want to see my face, it is fine.
I think I can give it to her.
Let's see.
Oh, it's right over here. Where is?
We got
Well-
bombed in a meeting not long ago, so we've been kind of keeping an eye on things.
Yeah, let's just roll without the camera, Katie.
Okay, all right. That is just fine. I'll see y'all in person when I can. This is a contract amendment to, it's the local public health contract with Oregon Health Authority. The majority of it is still reconciliation from last fiscal year. So there's an attachment that shows what was moved out of program elements out of the fiscal year 24 agreement and into the fiscal year 25 agreement. All of it was as expected by me on my end, and there was one fairly large chunk of money in the tobacco prevention fund that was rolled over. So it was large enough to bring it in front of you all for your awareness. I think the biggest issue with that particular one and why there's so many funds rolling over is due to being short-staffed. So that was also anticipated, and we have a game plan for spending it this fiscal year.
You have a kitty there?
Yes, and I think it's the case with all the animals. As soon as they hear me talking, they talk back.
That's exciting. Well, I have no questions. It's a rubber stamp for me, Katie. So is this something that we can go into the court session or on the commissioner next week?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Next week is fine.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
In stereo, I thought it was all around me.
Yeah, I did too.
Maybe,
I kept looking for the cat.
I thought we had something.
maybe the cats were making the motion. Put it on the consent agenda.
On number 4, approval and signature request for contract award to 2 KG contractors. Kelly, the airport hangar project.
Good morning. Couple things to talk about. We've talked about these items numerous times, going back at the table here. A couple things have changed. So this item, I guess I have it for 5 and 6, which is FA grant offer on number 6, kind of go together. So the item we're talking about is the contract award notice for 2 KG contractors for the airport project. Now, this contract can't be signed until we have the funding from the FAA. So we'll go to item 6, which is the grant offer, which we got from the FAA just the other day. So we need that actually signed first or together to make this work. So something that John and I were just talking about earlier, I guess my original thought here was to discuss it and to have it signed next week at the regular session. John brought to my, reminded me that last time when the intent to award, that was agreed that this contract could be signed out of court, correct?
So at our December 3rd meeting, once we got all the bids, we went through that usual process and we named 2 KG the lowest responsible bidder. And we had I checked the video this morning, we had a motion to sign out of court following the bid protest period, which was done a month and a few weeks ago. And so this is on the agenda, so now the public can see the final contract, but I don't think we need another motion for the 2 KG contract. It's just important we tried our best to time this perfectly and orchestrate things so we get them done on the same day. We had a hiccup with the announcement yesterday about federal grants.
Yeah, I'd like to hear, does that affect this? I saw a lot of hubbub.
It was a lot of fun trying to figure out the answer to
Sky is
that.
falling and.
Yeah, all the headlines said all federal grants are done. The memo was directing for all federal agencies. I found a spreadsheet that was part of that memo that the FAA was not part of that list. It was mostly, EPA and kind of what you would expect. But then I saw a headline that last night a federal judge blocked the hold, so, this is not legal advice that I would stand behind, but I think we're okay. I tried to dig as much as I could and I think we're okay. I don't know if we may have made a difference signing it yesterday or today, but I think the sooner we can sign this, the better. So this is on the agenda for February 5th, but it makes sense to get this signed now. And then we can sign the contract. The issue is, one of the issues is we need to sign the contract with 2 KG by February 5th because that's the end of their guarantee on the bid price. It's the end of the 90 days. And so the grant itself is like the other grants we've signed with the FAA. I went over it and I don't have any issues. I would recommend we get this thing signed today just to be safe. And then we can sign the 2 KG contract once we get some type of heads up from the FAA that the money will come through.
Yeah.
The one thing about the grant agreement is anytime before we sign and accept it, they do have the ability to withdraw it. So that's one of the reasons why it's important to just get it signed so we're safe.
So it'd be good today to, I received several of these signatures requests from FAA and so it'd be good if we could move forward with that one.
Yeah.
Do it, the DocuSign, send it in, get it done, get you to review it. And once we do that, then we can sign the, or out of court as, you know, previously stated, we can sign the 2 kg contract.
Yeah.
So the idea here is, I guess, it wouldn't be contingent upon next week's meeting. We could go through the FAA grant offer, get that signature taken care of, then we can roll right into the contract award, and then boom, we're done. So next Wednesday is the last day for that contract, so, you know, so we're tight on that. Obviously, we're tight because we want to make sure that we have the grant signed and tucked in because of the issues going on there.
So I can get out the FAA grant today. And I don't know how long it takes for them to approve it before, but, the other one's already been agreed to sign out of court, so whenever we get the okay from FAA, then we can sign that one, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and I think I don't think as I recall, there's not really a response, technically, because they've already give us the offer, and there's a letter included there, you know, with the signature from the Mountain Region manager offering the grant. So as soon as we sign it, then we're good.
It's an offer to accept it, so,
Correct.
yeah, so once we sign, we're good, so are there any questions before?
No, and we're planning on signing that today,
Yeah.
the federal,
Like, once we get out of this meeting,
but we need a motion to do that.
correct,
Make a motion to sign the federal part of the FFA grant.
FAA,
per se.
I thought you said FFA.
FAA,
I do it all the time. FAA.
You need to specify what grant that is.
Yeah, so
A little bit more specific.
it's the FAA AIG grant agreement dated January 24th, 2025 for the hangar project, to be signed by Commissioner Barney and myself out of court.
so moved.
I second that.
Motion's been made and seconded, or any discussion? Motion's been made and seconded to, approve the FAA grant. All in favor, say aye.
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 And
So
then,
moved.
and then on, as far as this, then we will do this on consent agenda for next week or?
No,
It's already been approved.
It's already been approved.
So all this stuff will go off.
Okay, so it's all taken care of. All right.
Might not even see Kelly next week.
Wow, Kelly, we've been seeing you so often, you just gotta come just to say hello.
I'll show up. I'll be there.
Progress report.
I'll find something else.
Okay, good.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Kelly. Community development, monthly update.
They're not a second FAA.
Yeah,
I think that was
once they-
covered on both of it because it was already, right? That's my assumption. Okay, thank you.
I can give you mine if you want to.
And,
I'm good.
They don't have to.
That's how big it was.
Because it's so weird, you gotta be county manager for 4 years.
Okay,
before you-
there we go.
Morning. Good morning, guys. How are you?
Great.
Good. So building department update, not a ton. I mean, we are, if you look at the numbers from last year, I mean, we're par for the course. 2023 was 130 permits in December. We did 129. For the 2023 year to date was 2,065. And then we're sitting at 2,031, you know, so, you know, this is more of the standard type last 2 years without the data center, large project construction. So this is kind of something we'd normally see as far as traditional numbers, I would say. Inspection numbers are down. You know, and that comes with the winter time, slow down a little bit. So that's not concerning. That's normal. We still got 188 houses that, we're managing under construction, 800 other residential associated type permits, and 221 commercial type permits that, we're, you know, currently actively inspecting or planning, doing or looking at. Some of the larger projects that we've got, so you guys know, Terry and the team went up and met with, the new contractors at Apple to finish up that second half of that building. They did the first phase and then the second phase to like a shell portion. Now we're finishing that. They went and kind of did a pre-con meeting with their team last week to discuss their progress moving forward. And inspections for us. The car wash is done, as I think everybody's seen. The apartments out Madras Highway, they've begun their deep sewer project, so we've had some pre-meetings with SMAF and their team. Because a lot of that's, I think there's some pumps like 28 feet deep, and I think their groundwater is about 6. So they've got a few 5 and 4 inch pumps running continuously to try to stay ahead to set that line. So we're trying to coordinate with their teams to try to get that in and the water pumped and backfilled and keep it kind of everybody safe in that manner. Their plan there is they're gonna do the sewer first, the manholes are set. We're gonna install the sewer mains, and we're gonna roll into the domestic water. And then the fire lines, most of the loop is the city of Pineville ownership, and then we'll take over the PIVs and the vaults to each apartment building. So once that's done, it sounds like they want to get all the underground done, get the ditch work and, you know, the hazards, underground hazards out of the way, and then we'll start to see some buildings going in. We've got most of the issues all ironed out with their design teams for the apartments and their ancillary accessory parking garages. The other apartment complex, Ochiko complex, they started grubbing, they got equipment out there, crushing the, you know, removing the old slabs and things like that, so. And then we're also working with the new data center that's coming in Popidin, so I think that's how you say it. So working through some of the comments on their plans, and they've got some more client changes that we're gonna come back to the board and edit those and try to get a clean set and start that project as well. So, but other than that, I mean, you know, polish is still going a little bit up there with their next phase. But, you know, residential has slowed.
What's the Rooster Restaurant?
So that is the project up on top of the hill. That's
That one over by across from the Humane Society.
Yep. So what they're doing there is they're doing the restaurant bar, future food court, we're doing underground for, and then the convenience store gas station. So, a complex up there.
What's the data center name again?
Just Lisa Destiny.
I was audited.
Can you spell that?
I think it's OPPIDAN, I believe. And again, we were on agenda, so that part of that wasn't on this report for that name, but you know, that's one that we currently are still working on in plan review. Expect to have us comment, I think, back like next month, so. But I think that's all I got for Billy. You guys got any questions?
I've heard that's not on a set for any tax deferral data center, correct?
That's my understanding.
That I don't know.
As we haven't been contacted, so that's what I'm assuming.
That's what I heard originally. Thank you, Randy.
Welcome.
It was exciting, but for the record, John Eister, Community Development Director. Go through the rest of this report. So planning, permits, they're up for the month of December, they're down for the year to date, and they're up for the fiscal year. I haven't been able to dig into that to see if there's anything to parse out of that. I did see that interest rates are back up over 7% for 30-year fixed, and so as long as they're that high, I assume real estate action is going to be kind of slow. But we do have a lot of movement behind the scenes that won't necessarily show up on permit applications. So New Sun has a lot of activity that's going to be coming your way. They're coming back for the West Prineville conditional use permit. That's the one that went up to the Court of Appeals. They represented that they're working things out with ODFW, and so they're going to be coming back to the Board of Commissioners to get that CUP finalized. That should happen in the next couple of months. They are also going to be coming back for the TSR North comp plan exception, and so that'll be before the Board of Commissioners soon. They have a new application for the Moffett Solar, and they are trying to get their ducks in a row to break ground on. So if you remember, West Prineville was originally a smaller CUP, and then they came in. What we were handling was an expansion. So they're focusing on the smaller one that was already approved right now, and they're putting in a substation, the Haas substation. It's a really big investment by New Sun, and it should increase the availability for solar to connect to the grid over here. So that is good. We also have our DoD grant. We're going to be going before the Planning Commission about a new military overlay zone. which will require, change our zoning, and with that, we are updating our commercial renewable energies facilities code. And possibly a comp plan amendment to talk about the need for renewable energy in the county, and so all this stuff will eventually be trickling its way up to you guys in the next couple months.
The need for what?
It's complicated. So right now there's, for the bigger solar facilities, you have to do an exception because it's usually only if you farm ground. And so for the exception process, you need to, typically you go through the reasons process. Like, there's a reason why the county needs this and why it needs to be here. A problem is on the state land use goals, there isn't really despite the governor's proclamation, they need renewable energy, it didn't get incorporated into our land use, so it's not one of the goals to have space for renewable energy. So counties have a really tough problem trying to find a way to make that shoe fit. And if there's a challenge, then it's often really, really hard to get that done. And so Crook County is fortunate that we did have some language in our comp plan regarding solar energy already. But again, that was written in the 1970s. And so we're just going to update it and talk about, the data centers and their need for energy and how it's job creation and clean energy and it supports the goals. And so we're working on language that now. It's going to be fleshed out with the planning commission well before it gets up to you guys though. But it's just so a way when we have these bigger projects, they won't get tied up in litigation because our county document says that we support renewable energy.
Isn't that actually a net negative though on the actual power for our region because it has to be sent over the mountains and it clogs up the system and I think we need to be real careful about that because we've got a lot of solar coming online, and if that additional solar has to be sent to the valley and it makes it so we can get less energy over the mountains, I think we need to make sure we're not putting ourselves in a tough spot.
I understand. Yeah, we can talk about that offline.
Yeah.
Your concerns. But
So does this,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So does the property have to come out of farm deferral? And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
okay, so farm deferral will be paid up. And then it goes in, and then if it goes to pump or when it's demoed, can go back into farm.
the idea is, yeah, that's why it's an exception, because, and then it'll turn back into farm ground. Most of the agreement anticipate 40-year lifespan of these projects. And then we have a decommissioning agreement, and a bond in place that, makes sure if the company later on can still get everything removed and returned to farm ground. Yeah.
The smaller Newsom project, is that where the battery storage was gonna be? No. What was
So
battery storage?
there's, I think there's 2 battery storage proposals from Invenergy, right?
Is
Yeah,
that
they're not
what
the
it's- Okay, I couldn't
Those
remember.
are closer to the West Law warehouse.
Okay,
So that is planning, oh, and there's also, coming up in I guess maybe a couple months, is, possible UGB expansion. City of Prineville is trying to bring in, some land over, including the Stafford pit, so that'll also be on your plates in the near future.
Do they have an outline of what that's going to be yet, that you can share with us?
No, I don't have it with me now, but yeah, I can. Yeah, it's just a handful of properties.
It's not encompassing, it's more specific,
It's very specific and
designated areas.
kind of one of these things. On-site,
They're not the best.
no, I don't love them either. But it does make some sense. And I talked about that offline as well. So on-site is up by the month, year to date and fiscal year. I think the permits looks like it's closer to 2022 than last year. And code compliance is down. But we've gotten a handful of complaints in the past couple of days, and so those are picking back up as well. But I've been there for a little over a week now, and if you guys have any questions, try to answer.
I have one on code. I was talking with Lewis this morning, and the city has hired 2 code compliance officers that are sworn personnel.
That are what personnel?
Sworn personnel
Okay.
as for code compliance, my understanding. So do they just work entirely within the city, and then the county works totally outside of the city limits?
So usually doing code for so many years. That's, the city of Prineville. Typically, they hire a resource officer, or something to handle the nuisance and dogs, so they handle the city zoning stuff. And anything to do with an associated sewage spill, anything like that. Because we are city county building department, we would still handle any like building complaints. But, like Lewis would handle all your land use, your septic, road approaches. He would handle anything in the county code. The city officers just handle county issues there, or city issues there. Municipal codes and things. Yep, you know, junk or living in an RV, or that's, you know, a lot of their stuff's animals too. So.
Great, thank you.
Oh, we got.
Great. Teacher's report.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up quickly, on an issue that was discussed, when Kelly was here discussing the airport. So as we're aware, there was a notice that came out from, the Office of Management and Budget yesterday that indicated that all federal funding was gonna be frozen. The initial estimate was for that to kind of run through February 10th so that the new administration could examine things. As John mentioned, there was a judge yesterday afternoon that froze that hold on funding, I believe, until February 3rd. So this is an issue we need to continue to track. NACO is conducting, they had planned to do weekly webinar telephone calls, to track the new administration's first 100 days. So those were already planned, but I think there's one going on this morning. Brianna's helping cover those for us so we can get some good notes on what's being discussed, try to get ahead of as many issues as possible. We anticipated some changes to funding at the county level with the new administration, so it was already on our radar to start to track this. The activity yesterday just kind of emphasized the importance that the county and department heads that receive federal funding continue to track these issues, especially over the next few months as some of the new policies get implemented and changes work their way through the system. So something we need to be proactive on and do our best to stay ahead of. Another thing I just want to touch on briefly, I think the commissioners have probably been, I know you guys have heard from folks out in the county, but we're expecting some test results regarding the groundwater matter out by the Knife River pit. It sounds like we should have some final results next week. So John and I will be updating the board once we get those results in. So just want to note that's coming. And I think that's all I have for you guys this morning. Thank you, Sarah. COIC, the COIC board has a position that has been filled by Tim DeBoot. In the past, he's willing to serve in that. Is that that co?
It's for COIC. It's different from when we appointed like your role on
It's like
COIC.
ag, and I don't know if it has lumber in it too. Does it? I'm not sure. What is his actual?
The email I saw
If
from
he's up there, we can ask him.
Oh, yeah,
He is
ask
online.
Tim. Perfect.
Good morning.
Hi, Tim.
What are you, Tim, on COIC?
For the county, I represent the timber and ag industry.
Okay. That was right, John.
And he is willing to reserve.
So I don't know if we need formal action from the board, but Tim, in the past, has the board appointed you to serve on that committee with COIC? The COIC was just asking for confirmation that you're gonna be doing it again.
I believe, yes, at the time, the court did appoint me to represent that. Now the commission.
I make a motion to appoint Tim DeBoot to the COIC as representative for timber and agriculture.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded to appoint him to the COIC board. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Right?
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Great, thank you, Tim. Appreciate that.
It's fun.
Hope so, you're in there.
Commissioner update.
I did everything last week, so I'm done.
You're done.
Okay.
Yeah, I had quite a few last week too, so just continuing on those same things that we're working on.
Here. I don't have anything other than still working on, I'm working. Okay, I guess that's all of our open session. We're going into executive session.
No, go ahead, I'm stretching.
So, Crook County Executive Session, labor negotiations. The Crook County Board of Commissioners will now meet in executive session for the purpose of conducting deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to carry on labor negotiations. The executive session is held pursuant to ORS 192.6602B. Representatives of the news media are not permitted to attend this executive session pursuant to ORS 192.6604. Designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. No decisions may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will return to open session and welcome the audience back into the room.
Ready to roll.
So it's just basically the mirror opposite, so
Go ahead. Thank you.
it is Wednesday, January 29th, 2025. The Board of Commissioners will now convene out of executive session into public session. The executive session was called pursuant to ORS 192.6602D for consultation for labor negotiations. Representatives of the news media are directed not to attend. Designated staff were allowed to attend the executive session. Now that the executive session is concluded, the Board of Commissioners knows welcome the audience back into the room. So based on the conversation, I think the motion is a motion to delegate authority to the county representative as discussed in the executive session.
So moved.
Motion been made and seconded. Designated Eric. All in favor or any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
All right.
That's it? No more?
We're done, right?
Yep. Motion to adjourn.
I second it. And our discussion is, let's get this over with.
Yeah.
Thank God we have the tablecloth and the window.
They made such